What's up, everybody? It's your boys, Bilf and TJ, representing the Coach Potatoes today. Ben's got some family in town that want to see his newborn for the holiday stuff, so he is absent this week, though he did proxy in his NFL picks for us. So when we get to the NFL section today, we'll get you guys his picks as well when we make ours. This week on the docket, we will go over the UFC, I believe 232 is the event number on this one. Jones Gustafson 2 is the headliner. So we'll kind of go through the main card, take a look at some of the fights that interest us, give our predictions on those. We'll weigh in on the controversy surrounding this event.
Shocker, I weighed in over the limit.
We'll give our thoughts on this whole nonsense that is this movement of the event itself, and just kind of the perspective we have and some of the fighters are sharing as well. And then we'll go into the NFL, look at Week 16's results, what it did to the playoff scenarios for this coming week and Week 17, and then give our picks for that, and kind of give what we think the playoffs will look like after this coming week. So, yeah, let's get in. Both, let's go over the main card a little bit.
Side note, before we get into it, I compare my weight to the UFC weight divisions. So I would be in heavyweight at 5'10", and not very athletic. So that's how I know I need to get my life in shape.
5'10" and not very athletic heavyweight. You heard it here. He's coming.
Pushing the limit too, by the way. And actually, after this Christmas holiday, probably over. So I need to get on that.
He's coming for you, Black Beast.
Whatever. All right, first fight on the main card event. Got Chad Mendes versus Alexander Volkanovski. So I think we know Chad Mendes pretty well. Alpha Team. He's a great, I'm not going to say great striker, but he's not afraid of throwing bombas because he had a great ground game.
Yeah, excellent wrestler.
Yeah, I looked up Alexander Volkanovski. This is his 6th UFC fight. He is on a 15-fight win streak, including prior to entering the UFC.
Okay.
And looking at his highlights, he's actually very similar to Chad Mendes. He can throw those bombas, a short, stocky guy. I did not see too much wrestling out of him, so I don't know. I saw him do some...
Any jiu-jitsu background or anything like that?
Nothing that I saw. Even his Wikipedia page.
What promotion was he fighting in before? Strikeforce? Or?
No. Actually, fun fact, I think it was him. He was in some league called Rochambeau MMA. I think this was prior to his promotion, prior to the UFC. I just thought that was a good little laugh. It's like, Rochambeau.
Got him.
No, nothing too prestigious, like, I don't know, Bellator or WSOF or one. But, I mean, that's win streak is not bad. 5 of those are in the UFC. He's coming off wins off of Darren Elkins.
Yeah, I mean, to string together 5 in the UFC is no easy task. So
yeah, he's actually number 10. So they probably actually have the. Wait. But looking at it, Chad Mendes, his last fight he won against Miles Jury. He had lost his 2 previous, though. Yeah, to Frankie Edgar and Conor McGregor. Which actually shows he's not very active, because that Conor McGregor fight was
quite some time ago. Yeah,
at least a year. I want to say 2.
So the fact he's only got 1 fight in since then, or 2 fights?
One fight. Yeah. I'm sorry, 2 fights. 2 fights since then. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to go with the underdog with Volkanovski. Well, I mean, Mendes is number 5. Volkanovski is number 10. I don't know how Vegas rates them. They do crazy things, but I would say Volkanovski would be the winner in my book.
I'm going to take it too. I'm going to ride that win streak. Chad hasn't been active, so
he's not active, and I think Volkanovski and him have kind of the same strengths. Yeah. We'll see how Volkanovski's takedown defense is. If Chad can utilize it in time before he starts getting hit. Or you don't know. Chad might be better on his feet. I just think both of them aren't traditional strikers, so one could land.
Yeah, take the underdog.
Volkanovski, yeah. The next fight, we got Ilir Latifi and Corey Anderson in the light heavyweight division. Again, this is 2 guys with almost very identical skill sets. Both wrestlers, both big guys, but both have big power in their hands.
Yeah.
That aren't afraid to sling.
Both that's for sure. I feel like this one could turn into kind of like the who was it, Thiago Silva and Jimmy Manuwa on the last card, the last event.
Thiago
Santos or whoever it was. Yeah, I was thinking of Santos. Where they're just gonna go out there and just fucking trade haymakers. No trying to put together combos or get some body work in. They're swinging to kill you. That's about it. So as far as just from the spectator's perspective, that's always fun to see. You'll just see two guys just go out there and trade and see who puts the other one out.
Those two guys that are pretty good at wrestling. They're going to have good takedown defense as well as takedowns, which usually means a strike fest.
Yeah, and then outside of a few guys, normally when people get it to the ground, it turns into just this blobber fest of just I'm going to lay on you for a little while.
I don't think either one would submit the other.
No.
I don't think that'd be their go-to. I think their go-to would be the ground and pound.
Yeah,
if they were to take it to the ground, but I think it's going to be a slugfest. I'll take number 5, Ilir Latifi over number 9.
I'm going to take number 9. I'm going to go with Corey Anderson. I think he's going to get it done.
You could. I just think Latifi, that's a big boy.
He is a big boy. That is true.
So this next one, we got Carlos Condit and Michael Chiesa. Good Lord. Condit's not even ranked, but I think that's because it's been forever since he's fought.
Yeah.
The last fight, I can remember him fighting, and he might have fought since, but the last one I remember is him and Nick Diaz. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
More than likely, there might have been a fight between. You know what? I'm going to look that up because I feel like that was way too long ago, but I feel like I haven't even heard his name or seen him fight in so long.
Yeah.
I have no idea. He was a great fighter.
He's one of the most versatile fighters that I've seen.
Yep. Natural born killer for a reason.
He's really skilled at every aspect of the game. He truly is a mixed martial artist, that's for sure.
Oh boy, yeah, he's had plenty of fights since then. So his last fight was actually Alex Oliveira, April of this year. Shows you how much you pay attention. His last fight before that was December 30th, 2017. But his last fight prior to that was August 2016.
So he had a pretty long hiatus.
He did have a pretty long hiatus. Wow. Yeah, he's on a 4-fight losing streak. He actually hasn't done too hot at all recently. Yeah, wow. I guess there's a reason why we haven't heard his name in quite some time.
Yeah. Though, to be fair, he had some good fights in there.
Oh, yeah. GSP, Diaz, Robbie Lawler.
So.
Alex Oliveira, all these guys. Versus Michael Chiesa. It's tough, because Chiesa is more of a submission guy.
Yeah, his ground game is filthy.
Great ground game, but I feel like Carlos Condit could keep it standing. I think he's the better striker. I think he'd have relatively good takedown defense. That 4-fight win streak, though, that's not good.
Losing streak is
what he 4-fight losing streak. Carlos Condit is probably definitely the underdog. I think I'll still give it to him.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I'll give it to him. I just don't think Chiesa can stand with him. And Carlos Condit, when you fight GSP once, you're going to know the definition of a takedown. I feel like Michael Chiesa is not going to bring that power of a takedown as well as he did. I'm going to go with Condit. That's I don't think that's a good matchup for Chiesa at all.
Yeah, that one's tough. I said it right when we got to this one. I think Condit's one of the most versatile fighters, probably pound for pound. In the UFC, he's just good at everything. But yeah, 4-fight losing streak. You just wonder: is the natural born killer lost his touch a little bit? And so what? His last 4: Robbie Lawler, Damian Maia, Neil Magny, Alex Oliveira. All great fighters. They're all very good, but they're all very different stylistically. Lawler's a brawler. He wants to stand and trade. Maia's obviously a ground specialist. He wants to take you down. Literally, the second the bell rings, he's shooting for a takedown. Magny's a versatile fighter, so he's pretty good all around. Same with Oliveira, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with Chiesa. I just think even though he's a one-trick pony, we'll call it. I think he'll have enough to to kind of keep his distance, and I think he will be able to get him to the ground. And when Casey gets to the ground, more than likely he's the favorite as far as his ground skills. So I'm going to take him.
Yeah, that's tough. I'm just basing it off of what I remember him doing. Yeah, all right. Moving on to the next one. Chris Cyborg, Amanda Nunes, both champs.
Should be good.
Yeah, Nunes is the bantamweight champ. Chris Cyborg is the featherweight. I'm curious now what their weight they're fighting at is. But they're both coming in as champions. I wonder if it's a catchweight. Yeah, it doesn't show here.
Are they going for like a unified belt or a new weight division belt? Kind of like Jurchek and Shevchenko did. Flyweight.
So bantam feather. So then it would be a lightweight belt. It would be a lightweight if they went up. And yeah, it would be straw if they went down. So that's not right. So I really don't think they're light. I don't know what this is. I would hope it's a catch weight, because that always sucks when you have two champions fight and one of them actually loses their belt.
Well, is one of the belt at stake, or is this just a super fight that we just put together?
That's what I want it to be. I want it to be a super fight, but I didn't pay attention to the weight class. Because I don't think this is an overstatement, and I don't really have a fantastic memory in women's MMA. I would venture to say this might be the biggest women's MMA fight in history. Because you never had a platform as big as the UFC in terms of MMA. And you've never seen as dominating of fighters as Cyborg and Nunes. You might throw Rousey in that picture, but then you remember what Nunes did to her. So it's hard to swat that away.
Yeah, I think the only ones you can kind of put in the same echelon potentially could be like the initial like Rousey Miesha Tate fight in the UFC, but I think the scale is bigger now.
So your Cyborg is scheduled to face Amanda Nunes for the women's featherweight championship fight. So she is putting her belt on the line against Nunes. So right. Nunes is moving up.
Yeah. And Cyborg's going to defend.
I mean,
Cyborg's a monster.
They're
Nunes is too.
This is a great damn fight. This would easily be a main event, besides the fact that the championship fight. Easily be a main event fight of any other card, besides the return of John Jones, of course. But I'm gonna. But as soon as I say it, if people actually watched us, I'm sure they could correct me. I would venture to say biggest fight in women's MMA history.
I don't think you're far off in that undertaking.
I mean, maybe you could look at like what you said. Well, so for me personally, one of my favorite women's fights, and I guess the biggest one, quote unquote biggest, only because of the impact, was Kat Zingano versus Miesha Tate.
Yeah,
that wasn't my first women's fight I ever saw. I believe it was one of the first UFC fights, and they fucking went at it. They were, I watched it and I was like, I want that for all the fights. All of them. That's how they should fight.
You gotta hand it to the women. They go in there and fucking trade.
They were nasty.
A lot of the women's fights that you watch, they go in there and it's action.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hand it to them on that regard. They fucking go out there and kill it, which is it's fun to watch.
There's rarely any point fighting. They go
yeah, they want to win. They don't want to leave it up to the judges. They want to know, I won that fight.
And, in hindsight, I don't have the stats on that. I would hope that was a fight similar to the Bonner-Griffin fight, where it kind of put women's MMA on the map. Because prior to that one, the only other fight I can remember watching, women's MMA, was Gina Carano versus Chris Cyborg, where Carano was just touted as the best women's MMA fighter ever. And she just got fucking ran over by Chris Cyborg. Just to the point where it wasn't even fun, where it's like, Oh, well, that sucks. And it was just that. Then, of course, you had Rousey, but who was also too dominant, where it was like, why bother watching? Of course, until she met
Holly Holm, and her coaches let her down
and then,
epically. I still stand by that. That was the worst coaching job in an MMA fight I've ever seen.
So she met Holly Holmes and Amanda Nunes. But in terms of prestige of both fighters, what they bring to the table, I would say biggest fight in women's MMA history.
I'd second that.
Coming up.
Second that. This is a big fight.
It is a big fight. Both
I'm excited to watch it too.
I would have actually liked them to have been the main event. I know you can't do it over John Jones and Alexander Gustafsson rematch, but I would have liked that to be the main event to showcase it because
I would have liked
it's going to be an awesome fight.
So to play devil's advocate to that, this may be the best way to market it because you're going to have such an increase in pay-per-view buys because of John Jones. So now they will watch this fight because they have to see John Jones. So that could be an actual ploy by Dana to make sure that this fight gets the viewership that it deserves.
Okay, well I like it that way. I like because both these fighters are very well deserving, and this fight itself is the definition of a super fight. This is fucking awesome.
Yeah, really, it really is.
I guess
the men seem to struggle to get these super fights set up, but the women got it done.
Women's are like, look it. But I guess in terms of who I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with the bigger fighter, Chris Cyborg. Well, bigger in terms of like their size, not necessarily their fame. Because both are nasty strikers, but Chris Cyborg is I think she's just a tad more dominant than Amanda Nunes, who is very dominant in her own right. I'm going to go to Chris Cyborg.
I'm going to take Cyborg as well. One, she's just a beast. Well, obviously you mentioned the Corona fight, and what she did in that one. Her history speaks for itself. She is the one staying at her normal weight class. Nunes has to come up. So who knows how comfortable she's going to be fighting with a little extra weight on. Every pound makes a difference as far as fighting goes. What you're used to fighting at, comparatively. I think Cyborg just gets it done. No disrespect to Nunes, because I think this isn't a clear cut Cyborg should go out there and run a train on her. Nunes is a beast. She can stand and trade, and I'm really curious to see the outcome. But I'm going to take Cyborg as well.
Yeah, I'm probably just as excited for this fight than the main event. And actually, just because of my feelings for one of the people in the main event, I'm probably more excited for this one. I just mentioned this, so let's get at it. Main event.
Do tell.
Jones versus Gustafsson 2 is John Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson. Coming into this fight, we already had a controversy. Less than a week out, or maybe a week out, they moved the venue from Las Vegas to Inglewood, California. From what I've seen, is apparently he still had traces of whatever PED he had that he got busted with on his last fight against Cormier. He still had traces of it.
Correct.
Now, and I don't know all the lingo, mumbo jumbo rules, but from what I can understand, is that Nevada, the NSAC, Nevada Sports Commission, that's right, couldn't meet quick enough to rule that this was allowable, that he had already, paid his dues, he got punished, and this is just traces from before. It's not from a new ingestion. But California, on the other hand, for whatever reason, maybe the last one was in California, or something,
yes,
was able to decree that he can fight. It's not out of bounds, and it's not from a new ingestion. He can fight in California, not Nevada.
Right. So the way I watched Dana's interview on SportsCenter First Take, whatever show it was. So the way he explained it was that basically the holidays kind of jacked up the schedule, and that Nevada's commission could not get a hearing fully completed and done and ruled on in the amount of time that they had, given the Christmas break and all that shit. California's athletic commission was the ones who handled the original investigation regardless. Okay. So they already had all the information available to them. So that's why they were willing to license him. With some additional conditions, he had to register for a new drug testing program as well. I think I read he's the only fighter. I think it's Vada and then USADA is the big one. He's the only current fighter I think registered both now. But that was California's stipulation to license him and get the fight moved over to LA. So a lot of the fighters on the card have come out publicly and voiced some frustration. I think rightfully so with this last minute moving. Dana in that interview was like, these guys, nobody did anything wrong. They did make it clear that this is not a new ingestion of a new PED. They said that they had multiple third party teams, including USADA's team, verify that he is not receiving any type of performance enhancing benefit from this trace amount that they found. But I just feel like this is the third time in X amount of years, whatever it is, since the first Cormier fight, that we're having a PED related conversation with John Jones, and we're going to move a fight a week before.
Yeah,
before the event, when people, not only the fighters, who have arrangements for themselves, their families, whoever else they have coming to the fight, to be in Vegas, plane, hotel, the whole nine. Now they have to all move their plans. Plus, any fans who had bought tickets to the event to get there.
That's what I would be so pissed.
Bullshit.
Because you have to have ordered tickets. I'm sure at that point you had your ticket, you had your plane ticket, depending on where you live, your plane ticket or your plans to drive there, and you had your hotel reservation. Like, all of that has to get moved. And poor all those other people who were going to Vegas, not even for the fight, but I'm sure the prices got jacked up.
Oh, exactly. They were paying way escalated rates because they were slated to have all this traffic coming in.
People not even going to the fight got screwed. That's funny.
I just feel like there was a lot more, on the table than probably what they, or not necessarily that they realized, but maybe they just didn't care to consider. Dana was like, this fight has to happen. Neither guy did anything wrong, and this fight needs to happen. I don't disagree that it should happen, but I don't think it should happen at the expense of basically everything else.
I think, like you said, nothing new was done wrong, but just the fact that John Jones, again with the discussion of PD, people are now like just rolling their eyes, like, really? Like, you're still dealing with this shit?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even blame like the athletic commissioner or anything. I mean, this is all on John Jones. He's the one that took it, but I think people are just getting fed up with it.
Well, there has to be a certain point where you're looking at Dana White and going, what the fuck? Like, why are we jumping through so many hoops for this guy?
I mean,
who obviously is not showing the amount of attention and preparation and everything that all the other fighters are doing to meet the regulations and the standards that you guys have set in place. I don't see why one fighter who can't seem to stop doing coke or taking PEDs or whatever
and run,
why he gets a million chances and fights for a fucking belt every time he fights. Where you have guys who do everything they're supposed to do, and they're not as big of a money draw. Which ultimately, and obviously, if Ben was here, that would be his first comment, and he made the comment in the text that we have.
Yeah, we'll your conversation, Ben. All
about the money. Yeah. It is. It really is. I'm wondering what obviously, the UFC is hoping that the amount of pay-per-view buys is going to basically outweigh any potential loss that they would take from people not being able to go live anymore.
I think it will. I mean, I don't know why it would affect pay-per-view buys. Like I don't know if he watches this. He probably does. But we have a certain Nike-loving friend who always wants to watch John Jones fight because he had that Nike endorsement for so long.
And if you have any hair care questions, we'll hook you up.
You know who you are. But he just has that draw to people who don't. Like, I wouldn't even call our friend an MMA fan. He just likes John Jones. And he was one of the first ones. Hey, we watching this fight? Like, damn, we don't want to watch any other fight but John Jones. So I don't think the pay-per-view draws are going to get hit in any way, shape, or form. If anything, moving to Inglewood, a more populous state, I think you're going to have people going in. There's going to be those fanatics who are just going to switch over their plane tickets to Inglewood. I don't think it hurts them in any way, shape, or form. Really, the people that are getting hurt are, I guess, mainly those people who can't afford to go to LA, which I'm sure there's a good percentage, and the fighters. Pay-per-view buys, I don't think that's going to have any effect on it whatsoever.
I agree. I think the pay-per-view is going to stay, potentially the same or even more now. If these people still want to watch the fight, but aren't necessarily going live. They'll just buy it at home. I think the fighters are obviously the biggest impact. They do all this preparation. A lot of them are already in Vegas.
Fun tidbit. Michael Chiesa was involved in this since he's in the card, and he was a part of that bus that got attacked by Conor McGregor.
He got his face cut open.
Did he had to pull from that fight?
Yeah,
right?
he had to get pulled from the card because of his injuries in that.
Poor guy, man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So basically, if Chiesa's on the card, don't wait until like the day before the event's going to happen before we actually know what's going on.
Yeah, poor guy, man. But and to your point, a guy doesn't follow these rules. It's not just performance enhancing drugs. It's also this cocaine thing, and kind of drawing little similarities to maybe Josh Gordon. People were saying Josh Gordon's an addict. Why you have to leave the Patriots? Maybe Jones is an addict, and I'm not going to say it's fine, but the thing is, the one person who's hurting is himself, taking drugs. I wish him the best in that aspect. But then you have also the hit and run thing. And it's like, how many different rules can you keep breaking and still get a damn chance?
Yeah, well, John Jones is an interesting one because it's not only, he's not only breaking rules as far as the promotions, policies, and standards that they have for the fighters. He's breaking laws that apply to normal citizens. Not just in his employment. So, it's for me. I'm just like I'm not going to dictate how anybody lives their life. Do what you want to do whatever makes you happy. I don't give a shit. But I don't feel bad for you that you're getting suspended or you can't fight or whatever. Yeah. It's like, look, if you can't lay off the cocoa or the weed or whatever for X amount of time, that's your own fault. Like, these are the rules. These are the contracts that you sign. Look, if you want to fight here or play here or do this here, these are the rules you have to follow. If you can't follow that, tough shit. See you later.
Well, I guess my thing is, addiction. Say what you want about it. It's that is his issue that he needs to resolve. But it's these other things that he keeps doing.
Yeah. And
all of that combined is just, how in the world are you getting all these chances? Well, hey Ben, why is he getting these chances?
It's all about money. It is. It is. And
so I know I joked about it that I hope he gets busted again after this next fight, but if it's just a joke now, it might as well be a meme. Actually, it probably is a meme because he was as the Tyrone Biggums. But he hasn't done anything wrong. It's still a blunder that they moved it to a different state, screwed over a lot of people. And it is what it is. It's John Jones. I would have loved to see what would happen at any other main event, but it's John Jones, so of course they're going to cater to him.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what makes it, at least for me, what makes it so tough and so aggravating to watch John Jones' situation specifically is that basically if you remove these stupid little decisions he's made, he is, I think, hands down, without a debate, the best pound-for-pound fighter the UFC has ever seen. Without a doubt. Not even a question. And now, his legacy gets tarnished because he has all these stupid-ass things happening. And you get... And no, this isn't a knock on DC. DC's a great fighter. I like DC. You get what I would call a false champion.
Oh, yeah.
He gets the belt by default because the champ keeps fucking, roiding or doing whatever, or hitting runs or whatever he's doing this week, and keeps forfeiting the belt back to him. So, it's just tough. It's just a really shitty situation, and, John Jones, I hope he figures this shit out and gets his stuff in line so this doesn't happen at any other point in the future. Because I just want to see him fight and defend his belt.
I mean, yeah, he was a young guy. He still is a young guy. He might be around our age. Maybe it's that old.
John Jones?
Yeah.
He's 32.
For real?
Yeah.
Isn't he young, David?
Yeah, I mean, he's still relatively young as far as fighters are speaking. He's early 30s.
Yeah. No. He's got to be in his 20s.
No, he's not in his 20s.
He's not in his 20s. What does it say? Oh, he's 31. Right, he's not in his 20s.
Oh.
Whatever. He's a young guy. You can live and learn after a shit ton of times. But yeah, I hope now he stays on the straight and narrow. Stays the dominant fighter he is. I love watching him fight. I don't like him. I just don't like him.
I don't like the decisions he's making in his personal life.
Yeah.
inside the octagon, holy shit, I love watching him fight. He's creative. He seeks to beat you at your own game, and he does it. And it's fucking awesome to watch. So please figure it out, John Jones, so we can watch you go to war with Gustafsson and have there be no controversy afterwards.
That would be nice. But anyways, now let's get to that fight.
Yes.
After all of that, John Jones, Alexander Gustafsson, arguably one of his toughest fights he's ever had.
I think I would make the argument it is the toughest fight he's ever had.
Yep.
Because you could make a solid argument that he lost that fight.
Yeah. I think going to the judges' scorecard, everyone was kind of like, ooh, what
I mean, they both looked worse for wear. They both tagged the shit out of each other.
Oh, yeah. I think it was funny that Gustafsson was the one that had the takedowns. Surprise takedowns.
Yep.
I don't think anybody in hell thought he was going to try to take down Jones. Gustafsson is not a wrestler. He is not
No, he wants to put you out.
Specialist.
Yeah, he just wants to put you out with his hands. That's it.
Yeah. So, coming into this fight, Gustafsson's definitely been more active. Definitely. And John Jones, man, every time he comes back, it doesn't seem like he's phased at all. He came back after the long layoff, still put a whooping on Cormier.
Yeah.
He then got busted, so you can always make that argument, but he still put a whooping on him. I guess it all comes down to how much those PEDs helped him or not. But he did beat him the first time, so I'm gonna take Jones. It's just tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to pick against him. It really is.
Yeah, I don't think I can pick against John Jones. I don't think, probably for years to come, I won't be able to pick against John Jones. One, I think Gustafsson is probably the only light heavyweight in the division that even poses a threat to him.
I would love to see Jones fight Rumble, but that never happened.
Yeah, that would have been a fucking awesome fight to watch. Though I think it would have ended a lot like the Cormier fight did, where John Jones would just take him down and beat the shit out of him. Because as soon as you took Rumble down, he was like, "Oh, what do I do?"
That is true.
But if you were standing with him, he was going to rip your head off. But yeah, I think as big of a beast as Gustafsson is, obviously size-wise, he's very comparable to John Jones. Jones has no
kind of nullifies his reach. Yep.
That goes away against somebody like him. But I think just John Jones' creativity as a fighter and his overall versatility is gonna see him through to a victory, and he will be reclaiming his belt.
That's probably why I like him, watching him so much. It is his creativity. He does some weird ass shit.
Yeah,
and he's just so long that he can do it from a safe distance and not get tagged. Again, that's why Alexander Gustafsson posed such a big threat, was because that reach was kind of nullified, but he still does some weird shit and it throws you off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna stick with John Jones.
All right, there it is. There's our UFC stuff.